Hey, beautiful ones, good afternoon and welcome to Our Story Got Melody. I'm just trying to fix the camera so that I'm trying to get the best look whatsoever for you guys. Good afternoon and welcome. Now, first thing I want to say is that you are going to hear a few things in the background. I'm trying to get the best lighting. Let's see. Let's see what's the best lighting. I think this is the best lighting. You're going to hear music because it's Saturday afternoon, and Saturday afternoon in our country, there's a lot of music. You might even hear the wind. Okay, even though we can't see the wind, you might hear the wind in the background. So I'm doing several episodes on Guyanese culture and tradition, and today we want to talk about the role that manners play in our society. All right, we're going to look at how it was before, um, how it impacted our behavior, and what it looks like today in our culture. So, in Guyanese culture, when you come to manners and respect, these were paramount when we were growing up as children. Oh my gosh, you hear that? That's the music. All right, so I don't own the rights to that. So if you hear it, just know that. Yes, so in our culture, manners and respect were paramount. When we were children growing up, we had to address all adults as auntie, uncle, or cousin. That's how Guyanese do it. So even though, good afternoon, Davion, even though you might not be related to someone, you had to address that person as auntie, uncle, cousin. I could remember growing up as a child, remember cousin Moggy, cousin Charlotte. I know my grandmother, they used to call her cousin Hannah. I remember one of our neighbor, we used to call her Auntie Kunti. So in Guyanese culture, once a person is older than you have to show that respect. You have to call them auntie or uncle. That's how it was when we were children. Another thing is when it comes to manners, we had to say good afternoon to adults. Like any, not only adults, but anytime we entered a space, we had to say good afternoon. You remember that? Good afternoon, everybody. If you enter a minibus, good afternoon, everybody. You enter a big bus, good afternoon, everybody. So manners really was an integral part of our culture. You had to address people. We even have Guyanese sayings that go with these. I'm trying to get the best lighting. Okay, this might be it. Let's see. So we have Guyanese saying that go with these. We have one that says, you watch me like when cow bust rope. That is to say, you look at me, yes, hi. You looked at me as if you don't have any manners. You watch me like when cow bust rope. Now, when we were growing up, it was seen as having manners when you did not interrupt big people conversation. So if two big people were talking, you could not just go in and start talking or interrupt the conversation. I'm sure there were households where you could do that, but generally, as a practice, that was not it. You could not interrupt big people conversation. Another part of manners and respect that we grew up with was any adult in your community could reprimand you. If they saw you doing something and they knew that it wasn't correct, they could reprimand you. They could say to you, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And then they will go and tell your parents. So you will find that if you are talking to a boy or any such thing, you are going to make sure that if you see an adult from your community that knows you, you will hide or do something. That's how it was. Now, that's how it was. You might ask, how is it today? Is it different? Is it the same? All right. So As generations come and go, there are certain things that change, but there are some things that still remain the same. So I'm going to talk first about the things that have remained the same. In this culture, younger people do not address you full mouth. Full mouth means they don't just call you by your first name. If you're older, they called you auntie. Sorry, auntie. Auntie, me didn't know was you. Auntie, me didn't know was you. Sit down there. So they say auntie. If they don't call you auntie and you're an older Guyanese, they call you muds. Muds, which means mother. So you say, where you getting them muds, especially in the market? Muds, where you buying? Muds, where you doing? So they refer to you as muds. Another thing is, you would find that if you're an older woman, they would call you granny. So I say, what happened, granny? What you doing, granny? How you going, granny? Now we still have a residue of the culture where we address people when we see them, especially in public transportation. You would find that when you go into a minibus, because that's our public way of traveling, you would find that there are people who will say, good afternoon, everybody. On the boat, you will still find people saying good afternoon, everybody. All right. Even though it is not as common as it used to be, there are still instances where people would say good afternoon when they're in a public space. And that is really, from our times. So that is still there. One of the things that has changed significantly in this culture, though, is the fact that older people, oh my gosh, I'm competing now with a motorbike. Sorry about that. Let me wait for it to, that's the motorbike. Ooh, I think the next live I'll do, I will make sure that I'm not competing with all these sounds. I know there is the wind, then there is the motorbike. Hello, how are you? So we're looking at Guyanese culture and tradition. Oops. We're looking at Guyanese culture and traditions, and we are talking about manners and respect, what it was when we were children, what it is today, what has changed, and what has remained the same. All right, so I was talking about what has changed. And one of the things that has changed significantly is the fact that the community no longer looks out for the child as it used to be long ago. Long ago, your entire community looked out for you. You remember that? If you're Guyanese, any Guyanese who is here, you can attest to this. Please put in the comment the fact that older people looked out for us. All right? Older people looked out for us. Now, this has changed. And I feel so sad. Oh my gosh. Sorry about the noises, guys. I feel so sad about that because the fact that we no longer have this community that is helping with the rearing of the children, you find that as a result, people are more disrespectful. They are not cognizant of adults' presence, and they will not show that extra respect for an adult. Sometimes, yes, you might hear somebody might use a bad language. Yes, right? You might hear somebody might use bad language. And when they use the bad language, guess what? They look around, they see you, they might say, oh, sorry, auntie, sorry, auntie. All right? Yes. Oh wow, Davion says, can I adopt you as my auntie? I've been watching you for 2 years and I love your channel. And I'm coming to Guyana soon. Would love to meet you. Okay, Davion, we are going to make it happen. I'm going to actually put my email in the comments and we're going to make that happen. All right? Yes. So I think the fact that our society no longer act as a community. We used to act as a community where we have this expression, hand wash hand, make hand come clean. That means that we used to look out for each other. You look out for the neighbor's children. The neighbors look out for your children. That was the community. But now I think people are more individualistic. People, they don't want, they would ask you, you know me, they would ask you, you know my children, I don't know you. And because we have now this society where people are saying, I don't know you, you don't know me, don't tell me children anything, we end up now with a society where we are not seeing as much respect and manners. Now, please note that if you're a foreigner coming into Guyana, there's still some aspects of respect that you have to be cognizant of and you have to show. And one is respect of older people by saying auntie, or you don't have to say cousin, just call older people auntie. I think that will suffice. Okay? Auntie, good afternoon. Now, another part of our culture that I think is a little different that people might think is disrespect, but it's really respect, is how we address people our own age. So we call them in Guyana, we call them our grow match, or even younger people. And that is by using two words. We say bye and gal. Okay? Bye and gal. I know in some cultures to call adults boy and to call adult females girls, it is seen as disrespectful. In the Guyanese culture, it's not so. It is actually a way to connect with people. Like you see somebody who will say, hey, gal, how you do, gal? Long time me not see you, gal. Gal, where you go, gal? Exactly. And bye. Me can't tell you last time I see you, bye. Yes, so we use buy and gal in this culture to connect with people. Like you go to the market, how much for that thing, gal? How you sell that thing, gal? How that thing I got, gal? All right, so I want you to be aware of that. So I think that is the way that manners has changed throughout the years in our culture. Please feel free to add a comment about this if you feel like, you know what, this is something that I have seen has changed over the years. So if you've seen any changes that you want to mention, just drop them in the comment below and I will see you in the next. All right. Thank you so much for stopping by. Tata.